With a news update on WHTC Holland's Cool FM, I'm Gary Stevens. A heat advisory remains in effect today for all of West Michigan, with temperatures along the lakeshore around 90 and heat index values expected in the mid-90s. The advisory runs through 8 p.m. The National Weather Service has also issued an air quality alert for all of Michigan today due to Canadian wildfire smoke. The smoke will cause issues for people with COPD, asthma, and other respiratory conditions. No break in these conditions is predicted until Saturday. Cooling centers are available through Gateway Mission's Men's and Women's Children's Centers, the Salvation Army buildings in Holland and Grand Haven, Christian Neighbors in Plainwell, and various local municipal fire stations and public safety buildings. A 40-year-old Holland woman remains behind bars following a standoff incident at an East Side apartment building that spread over 8+ hours into yesterday morning. Public safety officers had to fire a tear gas canister into a unit off of Lincoln Avenue and East 17th Street around 1:30 a.m. in order to get Brandy Lynn Walden out. She had barricaded herself around 5:45 p.m. after allegedly damaging some of the property there, as well as wielding a knife at a neighbor who apparently tried to intervene. Crisis negotiators attempted to talk her out without success before the tear gas was deployed. There were no reports of any injuries sustained by neighbors or first responders. Walden was arraigned later yesterday in 58th District Court on various charges and is being held on $10,000 bond. The incident remains under investigation. What used to be just a single day in May to celebrate Mexico's victory over the Second French Empire in 1862 has turned into an annual summer spotlight on the Lakeshore's Latin heritage and culture. The 62nd Fiesta kicks off today with kids' activities from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. at the Holland Farmers Market in the 8th Street Marketplace, followed by Latino community talent participating in tomorrow evening's Downtown Street Performer Series along 8th Street. A Friday night concert in the Bandshell at Collin Park is ahead of a full Saturday of activities inside of the Herringa Holland Civic Center place, along with a Fiesta Ball, also at the Civic Center on Saturday evening. A car show and World Cup final watch party is slated for Sunday at the Civic Center. Alejandra Guillen is the executive director of Latin Americans United for Progress, the group that is organizing the entire event.
We want everyone from all walks of life, backgrounds, cultures, and heritage to come together and celebrate what makes us so diverse. You know, that's what's cool about this.
An online link for more information on the 62nd Fiesta is in this story at WHTC.com. A step in the planned closure of the J.H. Campbell power plant between Holland and Grand Haven will be discussed this evening. Consumers Energy officials will be on hand at the Port Sheldon Township Hall from 5:30 to 7 p.m., answering questions about a proposed disposal of non-hazardous wastewater through deep well injection. The material is currently mixed with cooling water from the coal-fired plant's generating units for safe discharge into Lake Michigan. Ottawa County 1st District Commissioner Jim Barry has asked for such an informational meeting from the Jackson-based utility.
Some of the questions I've received through email and discussions, I'm not sure people fully understand it, or there's some certainly misconceptions that this would be an opportunity to straighten out for the community.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has a July 23rd public hearing on this matter, slated for Holland's Midtown Center. Consumers had wanted to retire the Campbell plant 14 months ago, but it has remained open due to a number of emergency orders issued by the U.S. Department of Energy, citing the importance of the facility to the regional electrical grid. Holtec Nuclear Corporation has filed paperwork to be publicly traded on the U.S. stock market. The company owns the Palisades nuclear power plant in Covert and is working to get that facility restarted after purchasing it to dismantle it in 2022. Holtec has filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to start the process of an initial public offering. Palisades will be the first nuclear plant in the U.S. to be restarted after being decommissioned. Kalamazoo Public Safety says 2 teenagers have been arrested for allegedly shooting and injuring a 19-year-old woman and a 20-year-old woman on Monday evening. The suspects are a 14-year-old boy and an 18-year-old woman. Officers took them into custody later on Monday evening. The shooting happened on Interfaith Boulevard around 6:30 p.m., and the victim suffered non-life-threatening wounds. The 14-year-old is in the juvenile detention center, and the 18-year-old is in the Kalamazoo County Jail awaiting arraignment. Another lethal incident involving the law in DeKalder City will not lead to any criminal action.
No charges filed by the Kent County Prosecutor's Office against the Grand Rapids police officers who shot and killed 46-year-old Eddie Jeans Jr. in May. Prosecutor Chris Becker says officers were justified to use deadly force. Says Deans threw a Molotov cocktail at a police cruiser, stabbed a police dog, and came at officers armed with a knife. I'm Michael Arning.
Now, the man's mother called police on May 30th after a domestic incident between her son and her grandson at her home on Alpine Avenue. She was heard on the 911 call saying Deans was going to kill us. The police canine Digo was injured but has survived the stabbing. The Michigan Nurses Association is suing the now-closed Sturgis Hospital, alleging the layoffs of nurses violated the state's employment law. The MNA says the hospital notified its 17-member nurses and over 100 other full-time employees of the closure on June 16th, 3 days before it shut down. They claim the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act requires a letter to be filed with the state if at least 50 employees will be losing their jobs within a 30-day period. In the lawsuit, the MNA says Sturgis Hospital should have notified employees of the closure at least 90 days before and are seeking back pay and benefits. Grand Rapids firefighters say one person was injured when a garage partially collapsed yesterday afternoon. Firefighters were called to the detached garage on Highland Street near College Avenue just before 12:30 p.m. Workers were dismantling the garage when the collapse happened. The employee's injuries not life-threatening. Kalamazoo Township Police have arrested a juvenile suspect for setting a fire that damaged Westwood Little League on July 8th. The blaze destroyed 2 portable restrooms and damaged an electronic scoreboard, causing $10,000 in damage, which is not covered by the organization's insurance policy. So Westwood Little League has to raise over $11,000 in community fundraisers so far for the repairs. Michigan now has 3,309 confirmed cases of cyclosporasis. The State Department of Health and Human Services says that's up from 2,640 on Monday. Health officials say their investigation indicates lettuce or salad greens could possibly be the source, but one has not been confirmed yet. Cyclosporasis is an intestinal illness caused by a parasite that results in sudden and explosive diarrhea. Michigan State Police are investigating Commander Colonel James Grady and former Second-in-Command Lieutenant Amy Bremicombe for lying in a 2025 affidavit. Trooper Megan Morsage and her attorney Elizabeth Abedor met with an investigator from the state police on Sunday about the perjury allegations against Bremicombe. Abedor says Morsage also gave information about Grady committing perjury, and MSP Communications and Outreach Director Shannon Banner says the trooper has made allegations as part of a lawsuit of wrongdoing against multiple people. Bremicombe and Grady both said in their 2025 affidavits that neither of them had any firsthand or unique knowledge related to Morsage's allegations in a lawsuit in Eaton County that she was sexually assaulted by another trooper. All Michigan and U.S. flags have been ordered to fly at half-staff until 6 o'clock Saturday night by Governor Whitmer in order to honor and remember South Carolina U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who died on Saturday at the age of 71, 2 days after his birthday. Graham was a Republican who ran for president in 2016, but later became one of the biggest allies and supporters of current President Donald Trump. Huntington Bank is planning to close 13 branch offices in the state, impacting around 5% of their locations in Michigan. 286 others, though, will stay open. Most of the branches that are being closed in the metro Detroit area. There are 2 in the Grand Rapids area, one in Walker, the other in Cutlerville, one in Traverse City. A majority of those affected will shutter by the end of August. A few will close in November. The company says every branch being closed has another within a 10-minute drive. Michigan is named one of the top states for business in 2026. CNBC created its list of America's top states for business in 2026 based off of factors such as infrastructure, economy, workforce, quality of life, cost of doing business, technology and innovation, and more. Those factors are used by states when trying to attract new businesses to their state. Michigan ranked in 6th, scoring its best marks in cost of doing business and infrastructure. The top mark, Ohio. Bottom spots, Alaska and Hawaii. The contributions of the Detroit-Chicago contingent at last night's Major League Baseball All-Star Game in Philadelphia were somewhat minimal. The White Sox' Miguel Vargas cracked a solo homer in the 8th inning to complete the American League's 4-0 triumph, while the Cubs' Pete Crow Armstrong had one of just 3 National League singles in the contest. The rest of the local group, Dylan Dingler, Kevin McGonigal, and Riley Green of the Tigers, along with Munetaka Murakami and Tristan Peters of the White Sox, went a combined 0 for 7 at the plate. Detroit's Justin Verlander was selected as the commissioner's Legends pick, but didn't play due to injury. Organized baseball resumes regular season action on Friday evening as the Tigers will face the Los Angeles Angels in Anaheim, with broadcast time at 9:10 p.m. on WHTC Holland's Cool FM. The Cubs host the Minnesota Twins at Wrigley Field, the White Sox take on the Blue Jays in Toronto, and the West Michigan Whitecaps play the Great Lakes Loons in Midland. Get the latest news anytime at WHTC.com.